For clean milk, the government pays good premiums, and everybody knows they're not in the habit of giving money away out of the kindness of their hearts. But plenty of good clean milk is so vital to the nation's health that they consider the money well spent. The premiums are, for standard or accredited milk, a penny farthing a gallon extra. For TT milk, tuppence farthing a gallon extra. Even the smallest farmer can get these premiums. You don't need a lot of elaborate or expensive equipment. Any farmer can produce milk that should pass the test if he uses common sense and a reasonable amount of care. Now, first of all, the cows. We take it for granted they're healthy. You can't expect the best results if there's disease in your herd. Before milking them, they must be groomed and washed. Make it a routine job. As soon as they're settled, brush them down thoroughly with a wet dandy brush. In a perfect world, no doubt, cows would wear their udders at the front end, but until that happens, we shall just have to go on washing their hind quarters and tails. This job needs plenty of water to keep the dust down and stop bits of dung and hair from flying around and settling in the milk. Just before milking, the cowman gets ready to wash the udders. He fills 2 pails with clean water at the tap and has ready 2 cloths, 1 for each pail. With the first cloth dipped in the first bucket, he washes the udder carefully, paying special attention to the teats. Then he wrings out the second cloth taken from the second bucket and rubs the udder dry. Keep changing the water in both buckets. It's a waste of time washing cows with dirty water, and frequent changing will help to stop the spread of infection from one animal to another. The cowman now puts on a clean overall and cap, so that no loose dirt or hair can fall in the milk. Then he washes his hands and arms using a clean towel and taking particular care to dry his hands thoroughly. Then he goes to each cow in turn with a special strip cup into which he draws off the first 2 or 3 streams of milk from each teat. This foremilk washes out the teat canals, which are bound to get dirty when the cow lies down between milkings. A glance at the strip cup tells the cowman whether the udder is healthy or not. Clotting of the milk or pale yellow lumps, for instance, which mean mastitis, show up clearly against the dark shelf. Always use a strip cup, and never throw the foremilk on the floor or into the grips, as it might spread infection. But there's no need to waste it. On hand milking, the milker sits straight up near the cow. He makes himself comfortable, but doesn't bury his head in the cow's flank as if it were a pillow, as this would rub off hairs which might fall into the milk. Some people think it's easier to milk with the hands wet, but this practice doesn't help you to earn premiums for clean milk, and it makes for chapped teats. This man, as you can see, is using an open milking pail, and the hairs on the udders could do with clipping. A domed pail would be much better, as there's less chance of dirt getting in, and this cow has been well clipped. So much for hand milking. Now, for milking by machine, the cows are prepared in the same way. This is the proper way to hold the unit. Let the milk tubes hang down. This breaks the suction and stops dust in the air being drawn in. As the milker raises each cup to the cow's teat, the suction picks up again, and she has only to see that the cups are gripping well. Much time and labour have been spent on cleaning them. It would all be wasted if they fell off onto the dirty floor. The milker keeps an eye on the inspection glass on the pail lid so that she can switch off as soon as the cow is finished. It's harmful to the cow for the suction to continue on an empty udder, but you must keep a careful watch to get the cow's full yield. When the milker sees that the cow is nearly finished, she rests her hand on the unit, and this extra pressure helps to strip the cow right out. Every time a pail is filled, the milker places a lid on it to keep out dust and dirt. While milking has been going on, the milk room has been got ready. The cooler has been taken out of the sterilizer and the water supply connected. This cooler is not really in a good position. It's between a door and a window, and some dust is bound to get in. A better position would be away on its own in a far corner. The milk room should be kept for cooling and bottling and never used for anything else. It should be light and airy with smooth walls and no whitewash to flake off. There are concrete shelves in this milk room, but for storing cans, another good idea is to use racks of metal piping that let the air get round the cans and keep their mouths clean. The strainer parts are brought out of the chest where they have been kept since they were sterilized. For the strainer pad, it's best to use a special cotton wool disc. This can be destroyed afterwards and saves the trouble of sterilizing a straining cloth for each milking time. The strainer traps hairs and so on, but of course it doesn't strain bacteria out of the milk as some people seem to think. Now the cooler's all ready for the milk. The milk is brought in from the byre as soon as each can is filled, so that it can be cooled as quickly as possible. This helps to keep it sweet longer, and bacteria can't grow in cold milk. As you can see, the milk is spreading out well over the surface of the cooler. If any greasy patches had been left at cleaning time, the milk would flow in rivulets and would not be properly cooled. The temperature of the milk as it runs into the can should never be more than 60 degrees Fahrenheit. The lower the better. The cans, of course, have been cleaned and sterilized. As soon as each can is filled, the lid's put on right away and a fresh can placed under the cooler. By now, milking is finished. The cows have gone back to the pasture and the cowman can get on with cleaning out the byre. First of all, he shovels up the dung from the grips. Even if it means extra work and carting, the dung should be taken a good distance from the byre to keep the flies away. The regulations say 18 feet at least, but the further the better. Then the walls and the floor are hosed and brushed down. A good water supply close handy makes all the difference when it comes to keeping the byre clean. The whole job's much easier if a little thought and care have been given to the design of the building. The walls should be smooth with cement plastering to a height of not less than 5 feet. The floor too should be fairly smooth, of concrete for instance, for easy cleaning, but not so smooth as to make the cows slip. The stands and trevises are also of concrete. Their length varies, of course, with the breed of your herd. The grips should be a good depth, say 7 to 8 inches and at least 27 inches wide. Incidentally, never lay straw just before milking time, or the dust will not have time to settle. For the same reason, never give the cows dry or dusty foods during milking. The feeding troughs themselves have a good-sized partition between them to prevent poaching, and the partition is splayed to stop dirt collecting and for easy cleaning. In this byre, the ventilation inlets are set just above the trough, right by the cows' noses. Outlet ventilators are equally important. This one is easily opened or shut from the ground. Plenty of light from ventilators, windows and well-spaced lamps keeps the work going smoothly summer or winter. Before we leave the cow byre, there's one job that should be done every week if you milk by machine. That's cleaning out the suction pipe. Draw through the pipe a solution of soda or other cleanser and then thoroughly drain it by the trap. Draw through cold water and finally blow steam through.